Of the 6 Pokemon base stats, speed might be the most important. Attacking first not only gives you the opportunity for more turns, but it sets the tempo for the entire fight. The games give you a ton of ways to gain that speed control. Fast Pokemon, items, even badges that just boost your speed for free. I mean, just training and leveling up your Pokemon increases all of their stats, speed included. Essentially, these games give you all the tools in the world to be fast and beat the game like that. So I wondered, do these same tools exist if you want to go slow? Or is the game set up in a way where going slow just isn't a realistic strategy? Today, I want to find out, can you beat Pokemon without ever attacking first? And you may be thinking to yourself, this is easy. Just catch the slowest Pokemon and be slower than everything. Brother, just you wait to see the stupidest stuff that we have to deal with. I decided to try this challenge in the Generation 4 games, so I booted up Diamond version. There's only one rule for this challenge. During battle, I can never attack before my opponent does. So in our very first battle, after selecting Chimchar as our starter, we attack Starly before it attacks me. This would be illegal, so we have to find a way to move second. Turn order is determined by each Pokemon's speed stat. This Chimchar has a speed of 11, and Starly's speed is about 7. Chimchar has a higher number, so it moves first. We need to get our number below Starly's number. By picking a different starter, we get different stats. Turtwig as a species is much slower than Chimchar, so its speed number is still higher than Starly's? I'll be playing this challenge in Platinum. I was always playing Platinum, don't worry about it. Rather than facing a wild Starly, the first fight in this game is against your rival. Based on your choice, you get to determine both your Pokemon and your rival's Pokemon. And we only have one real option. By picking Turtwig, we give our rival Chimchar, and Chimchar is much faster than Turtwig. This time, Chimchar attacks first, and we attack second, so no rules are broken. And because we know it's faster, we can confidently move second every turn. We are able to defeat Barry and continue, but we don't actually want to continue from here. Some of the Pokemon I'm about to face are so unbelievably slow. Remember, this game wants you to succeed if you're playing like a normal person. Since I need to be slower than these slow Pokemon, I have to plan ahead to be as slow as possible. There's 2 things I can do right now to make that happen. The first thing is to make sure the Turtwig I get has the lowest possible speed stat, so I should actually reset until I find the right Turtwig. This nerd has a lot of resetting to do, so let me tell you exactly what I'm looking for. Natures of Pokemon raise and lower specific stats, so I'm looking for a nature that lowers speed. I'm also looking for a Turtwig with low speed IVs. Each Pokemon has its own individual stat adjustments, numbered 0 to 31. A Turtwig with a minus speed nature and 0 speed IVs would be the slowest Turtwig possible. After a bunch of resets, minus speed 3 on this Turtwig. Okay, hello. This is a great Turtwig in that it's a terrible Turtwig. So I've got the right Turtwig, but how else can I minimize speed? Every time we gain a level, our stats increase, including speed. So the stronger we get, the faster we get. And once we go up, we can't go back down. So if we were to, I don't know, lose this fight to Barry by clicking withdraw every turn, we would get to stay at level 5 and stay a speed of 7. And even though we lose the fight, the game lets us keep going. Sure, there's some shame in losing to Barry, but he'll just never understand what we're doing. As I make it to Sand Gem Town and get access to catching Pokemon, we run into our first true mandatory fight in the game, a battle we need to win in order to progress. Youngster Tristan has a level 5 Starly, which has a speed of 11. Our Turtwig only has 7 speed, meaning every turn we will attack after Starly. We are still able to win this fight and grow to level 6. That was easy, but the next mandatory fight poses a big problem. Instead of Starly, this trainer has one level 5 Bidoof. Take one look at this thing and tell me if you think it's gonna be faster than Starly. No shot. In fact, this Bidoof has a speed of 7. Turtwig has a speed of 7. We got a speed tie, everybody! Speed tie! 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 It's a speed type. When two Pokemon have the same speed, the game randomly decides which Pokemon will move first, meaning we'd need to lose the 50-50 every turn needed to defeat Bidoof. And since we're only level 6, that's like 8 turns in a row. Not gonna happen, so I need another plan. Thankfully, Turtwig is not the only Pokemon we can use. We have 4 available wild Pokemon that we can catch. Starly and Shinx are too fast, so that leaves us with Bidoof or Kricketot. Kricketot is the slowest of the two, so it would make sense to catch that, except for the fact that Kricketot is completely unusable. Kricketot only learns one damage-dealing move, Bide. Bide has a very special characteristic that most moves don't have. It's time to talk about priority. Once a move is chosen in battle, the game checks the priority of each move selected. Moves with earlier priority, like Quick Attack, get to go first, no matter the speed of the Pokemon. The turn would progress in priority order, so someone using Helping Hand would get to go first, and so on. Bide has a priority of +1, so it gets to go before most moves, at 0 priority. Since Kricketot can only deal damage with increased priority, it's not a very good option, in that I literally can't use it and still win this challenge. That leaves Bidoof, who I catch at level 2, to be as slow as possible. I'm assuming that I'm gonna have to level up Bidoof a bit to actually be helpful in this fight, but I give it a shot anyway, just to see what happens. Bidoof can only do a bit of damage, meaning Turtwig has to lose speed ties from here on out. It's 4 in a row. That's 5 in a row? No shot. That was 6 in a row. Six speed tie losses in a row. I don't even know that we needed the Bidoof for that. It didn't do anything. Now I make it to Jubilife City, where we have access to a very interesting item. The Quick Claw. I'm gonna get the Quick Claw and then never ever use it. My next rival fight has a high level Starly and Chimchar, so they outspeed me. And because Chimchar doesn't have any fire moves, it's easy to win. We can make it all the way to Orberg now, where the next mandatory trainer just so happens to be the first gym leader, Rourke. Rourke has rock Pokemon who tend to be on the slower side. This is absolutely the case here, with Rourke's first Pokemon being a level 12 Geodude with a speed of only 10. When we fought our rival, we had a speed of 9, but we leveled up after the fight. However, our speed is so bad that sometimes we actually gain 0 speed when we level up. This makes Turtwig's speed still 9, 1 point below Geodude, allowing us to move second against it. We are slower than the rest of Rourke's team, and thanks to healing from Absorb, we can outlast all 3 Pokemon, although just barely. We received the first badge, and have still never moved first in battle. Next, we have to fight a double battle against 2 grunts in Jubilife. Like most double battles in this game, this is a team-up battle, where I select the move for my Pokemon, and AI selects the move for my teammate. For double battles, my rule is that I have to be the very last Pokemon to attack, even after Lucas's Pokemon. Here, going last is a breeze, as are the few mandatory battles as I make my way up to Floaroma Town and the Valley Windworks. This is where I run into the next roadblock of the challenge, Commander Mars. But not because her Pokemon are slow, it's because her Pokemon are strong. So far, I've been able to make progress by focusing on how slow my Pokemon are, meaning I only level them up when I absolutely need to. But at the end of the day, I still need to beat the game, and to do so, I need strong Pokemon. Some fights I need to be slow, and some fights I need to be strong. But these are tied together. You can't get stronger without also getting faster. So I have to find the perfect balance between the two. So I decide that catching another Pokemon should help against Mars. Luckily, there's a slow Pokemon available that also takes hits well, Geodude. But Geodude is useless without Rock Throw, which it learns at level 11. Thankfully, I can just grind levels against wild Pokemon. Oh, except for the fact that I can't. Wild Pokemon battles are still battles, so the rules on moving last still apply. Geodude is slow, but it's still faster than a lot of these low-level Pokemon. Certain Pokemon like Starly are faster though, and we can get to level 11 while still moving second. Geodude is slower and kills Commander Mars's Zubat, allowing Turtwig to never get toxicked and stay healthy enough to outlast Purugly as my super slow team pushes forward. The next section of the game requires you to team up with Cheryl in the Eterna Forest, meaning I must move fourth every turn. The good news is that there's only one required double battle here, but the bad news is it's an absolute nightmare. First off, you have to fight a Wurmple and a Silcoon, both with a speed of 8. That's slower than both my Geodude and Turtwig. That problem could be solved by catching lower level Pokemon, but in the same fight, I also have to beat a strong Pachirisu and Beautifly, and they're both in the battle simultaneously, meaning I have to be really strong and really slow at the exact same time. I was racking my brain thinking of how to be slower than Wurmple but stronger than Pachirisu, but I was coming up empty. This was starting to feel like it actually may not be possible. But then, I had a realization. There was a way I could use my strong Pokemon and change their speed to be lower. I send out Turtwig first, but then immediately switch to Geodude. This is allowed since I'm not attacking. Sometimes, Wurmple will go for String Shot, a move that lowers your speed. Now, Geodude is the slowest Pokemon on the field. This is a great start, but a lot can go wrong from here. For starters, if we kill Wurmple and Beautifly comes out next, we just lose. Beautifly knows Absorb, which goes before us of course, and one-shots Geodude, meaning he can't be used against the super slow Silcoon that's waiting in the back. And if I switch Geodude out, he'll lose the speed drop that allowed him to move last. So I have to kill Wurmple, pray I see Silcoon, then try to deal with Pachirisu and Beautifly. If Chansey ever gets paralyzed from Spark, it's now the slowest Pokemon, and we break the rules. I ended up catching a Shinx to help me take on these two Pokemon because it was still slower, and after many tries, I was able to win, going last every turn. As my prize, Turtwig evolves into Grotle, which makes it way stronger and bulkier and only increases its speed by 3. We've done all this scheming just to find ourselves in the second gym, where we have yet another problem. Gardenia has type advantages over my strongest Pokemon, but I can't just level them up more because she has a Turtwig. Gym leaders never have starter Pokemon, but sure, let's give Gardenia the really slow one. I need a Pokemon that is way stronger and way slower. Obviously, this doesn't exist. I would have been using it already. But now that we're in Eterna City, we actually have a way to create this Pokemon. Here we can access the underground, probably the least fun part of Platinum. Gotta blow away the fire? Okay. Oh man, my Nintendo DS is broken. Through the mining minigame, we get access to a ton of different items, but there's only one we really care about, the Iron Ball. The Iron Ball halves the holder's speed stat, which can allow us to use a much higher level Pokemon. With our speed cut in half, a level 20 Noctowl is slower than Turtwig, but it's also strong enough to take on Gardenia's Pokemon, and we can get the second badge. The Iron Ball is a bad item that makes your Pokemon worse. So it's perfect for us. This item is game-changing. Being able to significantly lower your speed will allow us to level way up and still be slow. Or at least it would if speed wasn't about to become completely irrelevant. Remember those priority moves that allow you to move first no matter what your speed is? Well, those are just moves with positive priority. There are also moves with negative priority, meaning if you use them, they'll go after all other moves. We're about to face trainers that know negative priority moves, meaning we won't be able to move after them unless we also know negative priority moves. At this point in the game, there's only one Pokemon that can learn them. On Route 207, we can catch Machop, and by giving it the Iron Ball to have its speed, we can train Machop up to level 22, where Machop learns a negative priority move, Revenge. But then, at level 25, Machop learns another negative priority move, Vital Throw. We now have a surefire way to move last every turn, and by level 28, Machoke becomes the ultimate weapon. Moving last every turn, Machoke goes on a tear, trashing Commander Jupiter in Eterna, defeating the third gym leader Fantina thanks to Foresight, kicking Barry's ass on Route 209, and making it all the way to Solaceon Town. This is the location of the Pokemon Daycare, which allows Pokemon to grow levels without having to battle. This would be amazing if we didn't already have a guaranteed way to go last. But the daycare is still easier than battling. So I throw Machoke into the daycare and bike around for a while. I decide to pull Machoke out at level 48, because despite all of this, if Machoke gets too strong, he can still move first sometimes. We have a chance for this to happen in the next gym, against Black Belt Raphael of all trainers. Raphael has a Croagunk that also knows revenge. If both of us were to click the same negative priority move, it becomes about the Pokemon's speed. And Machoke is no speedster, but it's level 48, so it's faster than a level 26 Croagunk. But by giving it the Iron Ball, we will have our speed to 24, and Croagunk has a speed of 32, meaning we can safely click revenge, knowing we'll always move last. This is why Machoke can't be level 100. It still needs to be slower than Pokemon with negative priority moves. Taking on Team Galactic after the gym, there's another Croagunk with revenge, but the same situation applies here. We make our way to Pastoria, and defeat Crash Awake by slowly slamming into everyone's Pokemon. In the following routes, there's a few mandatory fights with negative priority moves, including another Machoke that knows Vital Throw and Revenge. Hi, brother. Vital Throw is a negative priority, but it's higher priority than Revenge, so as long as I'm holding the Iron Ball and clicking Revenge, I will always move last. I make my way to Celestic Town and slam into Cyrus, head to Canalave and slam into Barry, and ignore all the slow-ass Pokemon in Byron's gym by doing what I do best. Slammin'. Sometimes there are Pokemon where my fighting moves do basically nothing, like against Commander Mars Golbat in Lake Verity. Another situation where strength has to be considered as well as speed. Thankfully, I'm slower than all of them with the Iron Ball, so I can use Seismic Toss instead. Even better, I'm now entering the snow phase of this game, and with ice types being weak to fighting, I can cruise right through, finding myself against the 7th gym leader Candace. With a smile on my face, I enter this fight, and realize I have a pretty big problem. Candace does have two Pokemon that know Avalanche, a negative priority move, but Avalanche is in the same priority bracket as Revenge, so with the Iron Ball, Machoke is slower. The real issue of the fight is Frostlass. Frostlass is a ghost type, and I had to overwrite Foresight during my time in the daycare. Machoke cannot get it done here, but someone else on my team might be able to. Way back in Hearthome City, I picked up a free Eevee, and now that I've made it to Snow Point City, I have access to this rock. By using a rare candy on Eevee close to rock, it evolves into the ice-type Glaceon. And by shoving Glaceon into the daycare and biking around, I can get it to level 57, where it learns Mirror Coat. Mirror Coat is the lowest priority move I've learned so far. This move goes second to retaliate with the damage you incur, but only if the move used is a special attack. Thankfully, Frostlass only knows special moves. Unfortunately, Frostlass loves to go for Double Team, which makes actually hitting a Mirror Coat pretty tricky. But I also realized that I'm slower than Frostlass anyway, and I can kill it with Bite. Beating Candace gives us the TM for the negative priority Avalanche, and we teach that to Glaceon, giving us another negative priority attacker, one that can actually help with Ghost and Flying type Pokemon. This duo is elite, and we can guarantee to move last through every Galactic trainer in the Distortion World, the 8th gym leader, and all the way through Victory Road, always moving second. Finally, we reach the Pokemon League, where we face our final challenge of the run. Facing 5 trainers back-to-back is a monumental task, and with 2 Pokemon doing all the heavy lifting, this isn't realistic. Even getting them to level 100, it's still too much for just Machoke and Glaceon to handle. But I have a plan. Now that I have access to the HM for Rock Climb, I can get a new item in Veilstone City, the Full Incense. This item is very useful, as it just makes Pokemon go last. But only in its priority bracket. Using negative priority moves would still go last. Basically, it makes your speed 0. This allows us to basically bring any Pokemon we want to the Elite Four. So I thought it would be funny to bring a bunch of famously fast Pokemon with me. Thanks to the power of the daycare, we can get everyone up to level 100. And now it's time for the Elite Four. Holding the Full Incense, of course, Rapidash can eliminate all of Aaron's bugs. Bertha can be taken out by Full Incense Buizel, with one exception. Her Hyperior knows Avalanche for some reason, so 0 speed alone can't guarantee we move second. I can't have two Pokemon both hold the full incense, but we still have that pesky Iron Ball, and Machoke at half speed is just barely slower than Rhyperior, so we move second every turn in this fight too. Full Incense Weasel moves slower and defeats Flint, and Full Incense Weevil does the same to Lucian. But we have a problem against Champion Cynthia. Her team is incredibly diverse, and I only have one Full Incense, meaning I can't just send anyone in with a type advantage, and some of her Pokemon, like Spiritomb, are really slow. How can I get everyone on this team to contribute to this fight? Full Incense Weevil can go second and take out Spiritomb, but it'll definitely die in one hit to Lucario's fighting type moves. So this is when I switch in my final team member, Bronzong. Bronzong is here to do one thing and one thing only. Click the single move with the lowest possible priority in the entire game, Trick Room. Trick Room, with -7 priority, will always go last, and it changes the way speed works in battle. With the twisted dimensions of Trick Room, slower Pokemon move first, and crucially for me, faster Pokemon move second. You see what we're doing here? You really think I'd just bring fast Pokemon as a joke? You sweet baby boy, I do not joke around. Now I can switch into Rapidash, who is faster than Lucario, so in Trick Room moves second to kill with Flare Blitz. Togekiss is also slower than Buizel, so we move second and kill here too. Cynthia now sends out Milotic, who we have to plan for in particular. Milotic is Cynthia's only Pokemon that knows a negative priority move, Mirror Coat. Therefore, we need to send in Glaceon, as it also knows Mirror Coat. Milotic only knows special attacks, so we're safe to click Mirror Coat, absorb the hit, and retaliate to take out Milotic. Glaceon can use Avalanche to always move second, taking out Garchomp and Roserade. And with the final Avalanche, we can defeat an entire playthrough of Pokemon Platinum while never attacking before our opponent. But wait, before you click off this video, to honor the spirit of going as slow as possible, I'm gonna play back the entire video at half speed and don't do that? Okay.